So we look at each other, and my uncle was a guy that you don't question. So we went to the bathroom and started experimenting, cutting each other hair, me and my cousin. And come to find out, I had a gift, a knack for it, and my cousin didn't. So I just kept cutting hair. I started at 11 years old and just kept cutting hair. But my uncle was the one who God used him to expose the gift that was in me. Because we know God gave me the gift.
Wow. You know, that's confusing because he's the same uncle that got you high at 6 and 7 years old.
Right.
Yeah. You know, that's tough. Dwayne was on my show about a month ago.
Right.
And, yeah, we got to get caught up a little bit, you and I. So I got the National Online Support Network that I started, which is a mentorship program for people as they get out of prison. And I got like pen pal relationships with people all over the country now. And so I got introduced to Dwayne. I won't tell you the whole story, but there's a guy that served 27 years in prison in Attica, New York, Wyoming Correctional. And I've been mentoring him for about a year. And when he said, he was on my show about a month ago, and he said he had all the wrong role models. Right. He said everybody needs a role model, but he said that all the role models he had as he was growing up that he thought were the right role models got him in trouble.
Right.
He said that he had a stepfather that he called dad,
right,
but he got him in a lot of trouble, put him out on the streets.
Right.
And then when he was out on the streets, everybody that he was with on the streets, he wanted to be like them. Right. They were his role models,
right,
but he went to prison for 27 years for a violent crime
right,
because of what they led him into,
right,
that he followed along.
Right.
Yes, Steve, we got some problems out there that somebody's got to keep doing something to try to change it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you ultimately get put away?
So I remember vividly, clearly, I was me and a couple of my guys. We had a drug house we were selling drugs from in South Norfolk, Berkeley area. We were selling drugs, and at the time, I had a whole lot of marijuana, but I didn't have any cocaine. We ran out of cocaine. So we was getting high, and we wanted some cocaine. So we came up with a plan to go and rob somebody and take the money and buy some cocaine because we did not want to use our reefer money, our marijuana money. We didn't want to use that to buy cocaine because we needed that money to re-up and buy some more marijuana. So we devised a plan to go rob somebody, take that money, and buy some cocaine and keep getting high, and add the cocaine to the weed. So we took a trip right downtown Norfolk. We went right across the bridge from Berkeley to downtown Norfolk. Literally, you can see the police. You can see the police station. You can see the Norfolk jail. You could look up in the air and see the lights from the Norfolk jail where the inmates was at. We went right downtown to the Trailway bus station and caught a guy coming out the bus station and robbed him. And after we robbed him, we let him go. And as soon as we let him go, I guess he saw the police because the police came around the corner and chased us and caught me and my co-defendant and took us to jail.
And he was a sailor.
He was a sailor. He was a Navy guy. He was a sailor. And this is the part of the story I never told you before, Steve, either. When we robbed this guy, when we attempted to rob him, he actually didn't have any money. But when we attempted to rob the guy told me and my co-defendant, I don't have any money. That's what he says. I got the gun, and my co-defendant is standing beside me. So my co-defendant tell me, shoot him, he's bucking. Shoot him, man, he's bucking, right? So it was just enough God in me that my mom had took me to church, just enough that I told my co-defendant, no, he's not bucking. He say he don't have any money. So I told the guy, give me your wallet. And he gave me his wallet. He didn't have any money. But I really truly believe if my mom didn't take me to church when I was young, I would have shot him. Because I was the boss. I was the ringleader of our little gang we had. And I was the one who didn't have a problem shooting people. I had shot people before. The story's too long to tell you, but I had shot people before. But I knew this was not a scenario where the guy didn't need to be shot because he didn't have any money. So I'm just grateful that my mom raised me in church, even though I went astray, that I had enough God consciousness in my mind to know that you don't kill people for nothing. He didn't have any money.
Steve, the testimony that I know that I've heard 10 times in prisons, you said that you wanted to get caught because you knew that if you didn't, you felt like you were going to be killed on the streets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was tired of that life of being a criminal. And when I got caught, I heard the voice of God in the detective office. When they arrested me, they took me to the detective office, and the detective said, like you see on every police show, they said, "Do you have anything you want to say?" They separated me and my co-defendant, different room, different interviewers. That's like a real police show. They said, "You have anything you want to say?" I tell the detective, first I don't say anything. I'm looking at him. Then I hear a voice I hear a voice say, "If you go back on the street, you're going in the ground." So I look around, but I don't see anybody. I look at the detective like I'm looking at you. He don't hear the voice. I see it's not registered on his face. It's not registering on his face. So I know he don't hear the voice. So he asked me again, "Do you have anything you want to say?" I have been in trouble all my life. I know you always say I don't have nothing to say. Give me my lawyer. I've been in probation. I've been in trouble all my life from a kid. But when I heard the voice again say, "If you go on the streets, you're going in the ground," I just knew enough to know that was God's voice. And I knew if I went out back in, I was going to die. So I told the detective, "Yeah, I got something to say. I did it. I'm guilty." So he asked me to sign a statement admitting my guilt. So I told him, "Give me the paper." So I wrote down and confessed right then in the detective office before I ever went to court or anything that I did it. I did rob the guy. Because I was afraid. I didn't want to go back on the streets. I knew I was going to die. I would have died. I would not be here today. I would be dead.
Well, it's a blessing that all that happened because, like I said, you are the most beautiful role model that I've ever met for what you're doing to lead others into the best godly life that I've ever seen. But, the name of today's show is, I stuck it down on the floor. You got yours?
Yeah.
Here, let me see it for a minute. This is really important because I think we're ready for this part of it. Steve, I appreciate the way you're sharing today. You got to stay between the lines every day.
Yes, sir.
So, Steve, you went to prison, and you were there for a little over 4 years.
Yes, sir.
And so, we got another 10 minutes, give or take, okay? But what I'd like to talk about is what you did with yourself while you were in prison and how you defended other people. And then as you got out of prison, how you've led your life since then as we kind of share that with other people that are coming out of prison like you or getting ready to come out of prison so they can have the kind of life that you have. So while you were in prison, I just some of your prison experiences, please.
Well, when I got locked up and went to jail, try to make a long story short, I went to jail. When I was in the jail cell, I immediately hooked up with a Bible study group with some guys that was Christians. And I immediately got linked back up, got reconnected with God. I got my relationship right with God. So then I went to prison, and I stayed connected with the prison, with the church, with the ministry in the prison, with prison ministry. I stayed connected with them. And I had a best friend that was in prison with me as well. And in prison, prison sets you up on a program. They tell you everything to do, how to do it, and all that. We call it programming. We call it, so to speak, staying between the lines. Doing the right thing so when you go parole, you can come home and make parole and go back home to society. The church, what really helped me stay in between the lines in prison was the church. Because I was in the church in prison. But I really didn't have any conflict in prison except twice when me and my best friend were defending other inmates that some bad inmates tried to take advantage of. So we got into 2 scuffles that could have went bad. Thank God they didn't go bad. Nobody got killed. Nobody got hurt badly. But we got into two situations with other inmates that wanted to take advantage of guys that we said we could not allow to happen. And that was because, God loved people. God loved us. And sometimes you got to make sacrifice for others.
Oh, yeah.
So
sometimes it's all the time.
Yeah, sometimes all the time. So, but after I came home and I continued to stay in between the lines, so to speak. I continued to program and keep order to my life, what I learned in prison because I never had order. I was a guy when I was growing up. I was a guy who had exceptional physical talent as far as I could have been a track star. But I never wanted to do the track, get on the track team, because I didn't like the discipline that I saw the track coaches yelling and hollering at the guys outside running in the heat. I didn't want nobody to yell at me. So I, on purpose, denied myself to use the talent that I had to be a track star. I did it on purpose. I said, nobody's going to get in my face and yell at me and tell me to run faster. So I bucked on it, the track team in school and high school. But when I came home, after I got a relationship with God, I submitted to the authority. I first started submitting to authority in prison. When I realized authority was good and not bad. Before I went to prison, authority was bad. But when I went to prison and saw how obeying, submitting to authority was good and it changed my life, I came home and I submitted to the authority in the church. And I came home.
You're one of the most disciplined people I've ever met. What impresses me is you come to work, I don't know, what's your schedule? That's what I want to bring out now because it's amazing.
My average schedule, I work like an 11-hour day, and on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, it's a 12-hour day.
And sometimes you come in on Sundays for special appointments?
Right. Well, I have to come in every Sunday. I go to church Sunday morning. I go to church. And when I leave church, I come to work and work from 10:30 to like 5, 6 o'clock Sunday evening.
Well, the title of the show, You Got to Stay Between the Lines Every Day. I got that because that's an expression that you've given me all the time when we're together, is that you say that it's always out there. You know, temptation and the bad things are always trying to pull you off the path. And that's how you've described it to me is that, you know, it's always there.
Yes, sir.
And you're around it all the time. That's one thing I want to say. We've been to prisons all over the state, and we've never been to a prison where people didn't already know you from somewhere. And especially the local prisons. Right. Oh, my gosh. When we went to St. Bride's the first time, and there were 300 men that came through, 50, 60 every hour. They come in for 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, then another group would come in. They took a big lunch break for an hour, and one of the guys, Andre, the most powerful man in the prison, and I'm telling you, he's the TV movie guy. The guy's like 275 pounds, been on the iron pile for 23 years. But you know what? He got out. We all hung out together. Yeah. And he had a voice that was he was the radio guy. I tried to get him into broadcasting. But, you know, I met a lot of people through you. But the point is, you knew everybody. But you were inviting people to come to your shop when they get out. And I've been into prisons 400 sometimes, and I go to these job fairs probably 40 times, and I take that tabletop display. I pass out brochures for Master's Touch, but everywhere I go, they go, I know Steve, I know Fred. Tell them I'm going to come see them. But Steve, you know everybody. But will you talk about staying between the lines just a little bit more and the temptation that you know, because you've told me if you don't keep yourself on the program, something could happen.
Yeah, definitely. You know, staying between the lines, man. You know, for these gentlemen coming home, you know, that's their saving grace. If they can embrace order, if they can embrace discipline, they can go anywhere they want to go in life. They can be anything they want to be. You know, but they have to submit to authority. You know, they have to literally submit to doing the right things. But one thing I can say is that the more you stay between the lines, for me, it's like being married. I've been married now 23 years. The longer marriage go, the easier it gets.
And April is one beautiful, fine Christian woman that I love. I know her. Donna says hi to her.
Yes, sir.
And you got children. You got a good life.
Yes,
You're
sir.
a good man. She's a good woman.
Yes, sir. The longer you stay married, if you're doing it right, it gets easier. The longer you stay in between the lines as a guy that come home from prison, the longer they stay on track and do the things that they're supposed to do and don't make no excuses for themselves. See, most guys go back to prison because they make excuses. They make excuses of it's hard and I can't do it. They make excuses. But what I always tell myself, this is one way I always keep myself in between the lines. I always tell myself, I told a guy the other day in the barber chair, nothing is harder than being in prison. All this stuff out here on the streets is easy compared to being in prison. All of it. Nothing is hard. It's only what they think in their mind. If they can get their mind right and understand that you have freedom of choice on the streets. In prison, you don't have no freedom. There's no choice. All of this stuff is easy.